What is going on, Haunt Nation? I'm Ant, your host with the most, most what? Most free time on his hands, maybe? Definitely not the most money. But I am your host, Ant, and again, we are all coffee, no tea. As I've said in the previous videos, T was unable to make the haunt weekend because he was ill. So he was unable to go, so I experienced these haunts by myself, technically not by myself, but without my buddy. So he is unable to provide you with any perfectly executed, wonderfully stated opinion on haunts, on these haunts anyway. But anyhow, so all coffee, no tea. Once again, this review is for 13th Hour Indianapolis for the 2022 season. Yes. So, very, very excited for this haunt. Probably the most excited for this haunt than I was for any of the other haunts. And I'm probably going to do a whole separate video rant on this line situation there, but that is another story. I'll touch on it really quickly, and then we'll move along. So it was, I believe, a $30 ticket. Tickets online preferred. I don't know if their website said they accepted cash, but I can tell you that the night I went, they were not accepting cash. They were online only, and no, actually, rather, credit cards. They weren't accepting credit cards at the window. That's my bad. They were accepting cash at the window. So either credit where you bought your tickets online or cash, and they had an ATM machine. So I'm going to start with free parking, okay? They did have two different VIPs. They had a VIP which got you somewhere around the middle of the line and got you in faster, and then they had like a like a VVIP kind of thing where you literally went to the front of the line. The VVIP was, I believe, $30 over, like an extra $30, so double the cost of your ticket, if not a little more, and I thought that was kind of obnoxious. So, typical, got the general admission. Instant regret that I got general admission. Got there before 8 o'clock, so went after Necropolis, and it was interesting. So, parking was free. Let's get to that first. It is in a completely different area. Last time I was there was 2018. Loved the haunt. Different kind of haunt than most. If you've ever been to Waldorf Estate of Fear in Pennsylvania, it is similar to that. We'll get to that later, but it is a different type of haunt than you're probably used to. Absolutely adored it in 2018 when it was at a different location. Walked in, my group went in alone, had a great experience, came out. I believe I talked to one of the owners about it afterwards, and it was really cool. So, onwards and upwards. Parking was free. It is an indoor-outdoor haunt, so there are some indoor parts, some outdoor parts, so they could theoretically close the haunt, so you have to be careful about what kind of night you're going on. And you might want to be careful about what kind of night you're going on anyway, just because who wants to be in the outdoor parts in the rain or shitty inclement weather, right? I don't. So I would choose to do the indoor haunts on indoor days, or shitty days, and the outdoor haunts on nicer days. Anyhow, so it is an indoor-outdoor walkthrough. There are no hay rides or anything like that. There are two distinct parts. Get to that later. And, it has, the first part had a particular theme. The second part had a little bit of a different theme. We will get to that. It has actors and some animatronics. And lots of clever use of, different door panels and wall panels that would open up for you to go through when you were done in your particular room. The idea for the beginning of it is very similar to our 13th Hour in Wharton, New Jersey. It is a time travel kind of thing. That's pretty much where it ends. The 13th Hour in Wharton is traveling back in time and seeing this, murderous family that's kind of got a Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of vibe. And this one is something else. Like, I really didn't get the idea, but I know you're traveling back in time, but it's not the same kind of thing. That's pretty much where the similarity ends. Timing and spacing. So let's start by saying the line, okay? This is where I'm going to get into a little bit of a line rant. When you first got there were 3 distinct lines. Left side was Fast Pass, middle, general admission, right side was ticket booth. So I got immediately on the general admission line because I had my general admission tickets. Ticket booth line was pretty empty. Fast Pass line was pretty empty. People would come and go through the ticket booth line. Come to find out about 40 minutes later, because that's how long it took me to get to the ticket booth from the general admission line, that all 3 lines converged at the ticket booth, where you had to scan your tickets on your phone and get a hand stamp. That did not make me happy, because I spent 40 minutes on a long line to get nowhere to get on the line for the haunt. So got there, you know what, I'm not gonna know, it wasn't 8 o'clock. I got there closer to 9. I believe it was a little before 9, but it was closer to 9. Did not get into the haunt until after midnight. Literally spent 3 hours on the line. The line was moving slow. It did not help that they were allowing people for a certain amount of time to buy RIP tickets and ultra RIP tickets and cut the line, thus slowing it down even more. But they did stop that at some point. They were not allowing that. And how do I know? Because there was a group of 20-somethings in front of me who were really cool, who attempted to buy themselves those VIP tickets to get further in line, because they were getting sick of waiting, as were all of us. The queue itself was terrible. It was 6 to 8 feet wide, so and not very exacting. So there was a lot of opportunity for people to line jump and slip through. I saw that happen once when I was way far online. I saw that happen. Somebody called it out, and the local sheriff, moved them to the back of the line. That wasn't the issue. I don't know what happened. I asked the woman at the ticket booth, like, why are 3 lines emptying into your ticket booth line? Because I could have just gone on the ticket booth line and saved myself 40 minutes. She had no explanation, no good explanation. Anyway, onwards and upwards. 3 hours later, we get to the front, we get in. They put in that initial, through the front gates, 17 people in my group. We counted. We were counting after a while because we had nothing better to do while we were waiting online. We were seeing them put through groups of 20, 21, 22, 15, varying numbers, but very high. I'm going to guess they started doing this to move the line along, because the line was not moving. It was a long, long wait. Take that as you want it. If you want to buy VIP tickets or very, very VIP tickets, whatever they call them, that's up to you. Went down a very long path through the woods, which was well lit. And there were a few, what I would call at that point, line creepers. So on the line proper, no line creepers, nothing. On what I would say was the beginning of the haunt, for lack of a better way of putting it, there were a couple of people in costume. They're trying to scare you, which was kind of cool. When we got there, we got to the big warehouse building, which had a nice, it was mostly a warehouse, and then where you entered had a nice clock-type facade to show you, like, the 13th hour. It was, 11:55 or what have you. And waited on another line there. There, they asked the size of your group, and they put your group in. And from there, you funneled in and into pens. So they had 6 pens, 3 on one side, 3 on the other. And from there, you had to wait for the pens to empty to actually start the haunt. I was told by the guy that funneled us into the pens that in that area, video and photos were okay. And as I was trying to take a video, one of the actresses had a fit and told me that there is no video allowed in that part. So I put my phone away like a good boy. But that's something to take note of, especially for them. If you guys are seeing this, you got to coordinate better, because one person distinctly told me yes, and then the other person wasn't having it. So the 2 pens on either side empty together, go on different sides of a stage through a door, and that's where your experience begins. Actress goes through a spiel about time travel and whatnot. and going back in time. It seemed more like a witchcraft kind of thing, where you were being sent back in time, and there your haunt begins. I had a group of 3, the other people had a group of 4. We all went through together, basically out of that room and onto another queue, which was outside. That gentleman out there split us up into 2 groups, which was nice. So my group got to experience things by ourselves. There are actors and animatronics, not a ton of animatronics, but you got both. 2 different ideas for the 2 different sections of the haunt. So timing and spacing, I mean, I don't know what I would say about it. As far as being in that section, it was great. Once we got to that outside area, it became fantastic. Up till then, not so good, but that's where we started the haunt. I did notice a kind of a lack of actors. There weren't a ton everywhere, and there were more live actors than animatronics, so it was skewed more towards live people than animatronics, at least in the first half. So that's something to know. Costuming was very appropriate, but other than that, it was mostly face paint, no prosthetics. I didn't notice any teeth or contacts, and there were a few places where they were Halloween type masks, but they were pretty appropriate for the section, and they didn't look terrible. So the costuming was pretty good. The sets were beautiful, absolutely beautiful, movie quality sets. Even the outside stuff with the graveyards that you're walking through, really, really good, really nice. The actors were all into it as well. So we did not find one actor that was lollygagging, that was out of character, breaking character. Every actor was really I've had this thing go out so many times, I just want to keep it lit for now. Every actor was really into it. They were doing their part, and there are zero complaints about it. Whatever electronics were there were working. The length was good. It was a nice long length, especially in the main building proper, like that indoor-outdoor, that first section. I'm just going to call it first section. Really clever use of, like I said, sets with moving wall panels and things like that, where you go through. Really appreciated that. So the length was great. Once you finished that first section, you went outside and you went into a completely different area. Now there, again, they took my group and put us with another group of 4. Now we became a group of 7 again, and we were starting to miss things because the grouping was way too big. They were moving faster, setting things off, and then we were catching them resetting. So it was not ideal at all. The second section really felt tacked on. It really didn't feel like it was part of the haunt. Didn't feel complete to me. There were some really cool ideas in it, so I'm not gonna say anything negative about that. Again, the actors are great. There were some really good ideas, but it all felt tacked on. It didn't feel like it really had a flow so much. I mean, I guess if I really think hard, I can come up with like what the theme was for it, but I mean, was that the theme, or is that just me trying to find a theme for it? The ending, I will say, was very cool, very original, very imaginative. But the second half did feel tacked on. They had concessions out front, so they had like a food truck out front, which was like corn dogs and stuff like that. A little bit pricey, sodas and water, but that was it. No bonfire, no games, no axe throwing, no extra stuff to do. Just the haunt. And the food and concessions were minimal. I didn't see any merch, no t-shirts, pins, hats, or anything like that at all. What did I like? So it's a different type of haunt. Let me explain that really quickly. It is the type of haunt where your group is going through and you are like hearing and experiencing things. The actors are, it's almost akin to watching or being in an interactive play more than a haunted house. Zero scare factor. I'm going to put that out there right now. I do not think there was really any scare factor at all. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. I didn't find anything scary at all or see anything that I thought was mildly scary, unless the whole idea of it was scary or would be scary. But as you went room to room, the actors in the different rooms interacted with you. They talked to you. They gave you more of the storyline, you know, and they built up this big ending for the first section, which I will say that when we got to the big ending was a little anticlimactic, but it was one consistent story, and it was more about building a story and going through that story. More interactive play than Haunted House. I don't know how better to describe it. So I did like that because it's different. You know, what didn't I like? You know, that, oh, by the way, the timing between groups was fantastic. The timing between groups was fantastic. They definitely had choke points where they kept our group, especially in the first section, away from other groups where we were moving through as a group, and it was beautiful. So I loved that. What didn't I like? I didn't really enjoy the second half. I get it. You're trying to give people value for their money, but it did feel tacked on. It didn't feel like it belonged. I think it needs quite a bit more work. It would be nice if everything was, or most of it were inside rather than inside outside. I understand use of space, need for space. They did just build this big warehouse building this year. You know, some of the sets did look familiar to me from 2018. I'm sure they've reused some of them because it had a similar theme. At least the first half did have a similar theme from what I remember. So things were reused, but it's in a totally different location, different building, completely different. What would I change? You got to fix that line, man. You got to fix that line in the beginning. Nobody should be waiting 3 hours, like an hour after your haunt opens. There shouldn't be, you know, a 3.5, 4 hour line on a general admission line to get into the haunt. That was beyond excessive. You know, what else would I change? I changed that second half. So I'm going to be a little harsh. I know a lot of people are saying that 13th Hour Indy, they're rating it so high and it's so amazing and whatnot. And I'm going to guess that some of these people that are rating it so fantastically are the people that are coming in with their cameras and their videos. And they're like, we're XYZ group and we're here to rate your haunt. And you're always going to get the best fucking experience that way. You are not going to get the same experience that any normal Joe, any normal fucking person is going to get when you announce yourself and you big fanfare and look at me, I'm special and we're this. I don't do that. We don't do that. We pay for our tickets. We go and we don't announce ourselves. We stand in line with everybody else and we go through the fucking haunt the way they put us through the haunt. We don't look for special treatment. We don't get special treatment, and that's okay because I'm going to experience it the way you're going to experience it. So it stands to reason that some of the things I bitch about are probably going to be the same things you bitch about or you're unhappy with. So forewarned, you know. So all that said, I'm going to go probably against the grain with some of these other people who are saying it's one of the best in Indiana or whatever. It might well be, you know, but I thought Necropolis was better. Sorry, not sorry. I gave Necropolis a 7.5. I'm not going to take a giant shit on them with the length of their line. We only rate on the haunt from the beginning of the haunt through to the end of the haunt, and that's what I'm rating. I'm going to give them a 7. I'm going to give them a 7 out of 10. Saving grace for me were the actors. The actors were into it. You know, big problem is it wasn't like a regular haunt. It wasn't scary. And I think if you know that going in, you'll be better off than thinking it's a real haunt. Anyhow, that is my review. That is for 13th Hour Indianapolis for the 2022 season. And I don't know, maybe I'll make a whole video bitching about their fucking line. Maybe I won't. Oh, little PS postscript. About halfway through the line, the 20-somethings that were in front of me, after being there for over 2 hours, chalked it up. They took the loss. They left. They were like, yeah, we're tapping out. We've had enough. And they tapped out and they fucking left. So, you know, they lost their money. They lost out on that night. So it is unfortunate, but that is what it is. So anyway, that's a review, and I'll see you on the next one.